Hey, welcome to another episode of the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm here with my dancing host,
Leslie Spohr.
Sorry, she's dancing. She's not paying attention.
I'm
she
not.
starts dancing, it's almost like it turns off her other senses. I'm Jeff
That's
Harris,
right.
And thanks for joining us. Leslie, I have this picture in the background because we have had some weather change. And of course, we record things in advance. And this is probably going to be sometime in the first week or two of December. And just to kind of let the cat out of the bag, we had an early snowstorm here in the desert, and it looks just like this. It is spectacular. So anyway, I've got the turtleneck going, got the snow on the mountains. We're ready to rock. I feel energized, excited, straight up entrepreneur, not twisted, bent, and exhausted. So what are we going to talk about today, Leslie?
I wanted to talk about marketing and networking because I've been doing this massive networking campaign for the last month. And I think that there's value in sharing that for people because, excuse me.
It's real,
look at
baby.
that
it's real.
spam. It's spam.
Spam and bam.
Always spam. I'll turn off the sound. Hang on. Because recently I did several expos, as you know, and some of the people I do the 5-day challenge with told me that they have been told that expos are a waste of money. And so I have a webinar that I've been doing for people. It's a free webinar about expos and how to do them properly. I know that you wouldn't relate to that at all. I'm teasing you because
geez, I just felt it go right into my ribs. Yeah.
I am a Sagittarian. We do backwards compliments.
God.
Oh my gosh. But a lot of people don't know how to do an expo properly. And I was surprised. I don't know. You walked around at the Rancho Mirage Chamber Expo, didn't you?
I did.
Did you see any table? There were some tables that were done properly, like ours was, of course, but some of them were very skimpy. They had hardly any marketing materials. They had nothing to draw people to their table. I mean, did you notice that yourself?
Yeah, I did. And, in their defense, and it's not a side, this is get out of jail free card. But you're right. Most people don't know how, most business owners don't know how to have that. I'm going to call it extra paraphernalia. Expo goers or show goers kind of expect and are drawn to. And it's almost like, if you're trying to, I remind myself as I'm walking up and down, getting into shape and whatnot, and I see a loose animal. And let's say a dog. And if somebody's just yelling, come here, come here, come here, and the other one has come here and it has a biscuit in its hand, which one is it going to go to? To the biscuit. So think of it, this is like attracting those people over to your table. And you just did a phenomenal job. And, even myself, where I was speaking at a conference and then also had a table there, I thought I put some stuff out there I thought was relevant because it was more of a Q&A kind of thing. I'll be honest, it sucked compared to what you did. And because it's, first of all, you have to make the investment and you have to be prepared to say, okay, if I'm going to do this once, I'm going to do it many times. And then all of a sudden your investment is your ROI is higher. Right. So I don't want to take any thunder, but those are just
that's fine.
Yeah. You did a great job.
Thank you. I thought I did too, actually. So okay. I got in
her self Google review. She gave herself 5 stars.
I did, I'm so humble and kind of a wallflower about these things.
You guys are lucky. I do this all the time. You guys get to click off.
Don't click off. Stay.
No, don't.
The initial investment, depending on where you live and what things cost, here, the initial investment, is at least $600. Okay. Because if you don't have a pull up, banner, right? You need a pull up banner and you need a tablecloth. Those two things really make a difference because your name is emblazoned. The expo sponsors, they provide a 6-foot table with generally a black tablecloth. And but they don't provide any banners. They don't provide anything else. So you need something to draw people there to see that it's your company first and foremost. And then after that, how you decorate or populate your table matters from a trying to get people to stop by and see it. You know, they're drawn to it. Like I use a lot of flameless candles, the fake battery operated candles, because most of those venues are pretty dim and it draws people over. You know, I had one person say to me that they, and I have pictures too, if you want to share them, but I had people say to me, you know, the energy here is really good. So I wanted to come and talk to you. That's what you want. That's the goal that you're trying to reach. You want to have your marketing stuff out there. You want it to be neat and orderly, but you also want something warm and friendly. And because I'm promoting a lifestyle management company, I need to go above and beyond. I need to show that we take that one extra step. We're not just throwing some brochures on a table and sticking up a poster. You know, it's worth it. And you know, you can go to the dollar store. You don't have to invest a lot in the decor of the table. Some people do games like Wheel of Fortune type spinning. I don't know what those things are called, but the spinner. Some people do like a what do you call those games where you throw the sandbags in the hole? What's that
is
called?
that
Oh
cornhole?
my God. Cornhole. Somebody
Yep.
will have like a cornhole thing there. And if you get it in, you win a prize. I mean, those kinds of things attract people. And so the ability to set up an expo properly, to understand the terminology, to know the etiquette of an expo. There is specific etiquette to doing these events. And a lot of people don't know them. Are you familiar with the word carpetbagger, for example?
I've heard that word. Yes. It's somebody who, isn't that somebody who shows up and they don't actually pay for being in the event, and yet they walk around and kind of try to skim that and do business with them?
Right. It's okay to bring your own business cards and throw them in all the drawings, but it is not okay to go up and try to solicit business. And when you do that, that's carpetbagging, and that's when you'll get thrown out of the event. You know, before I knew that word, I actually got in trouble for that one time. That was about 15 years ago. I got tossed for. I almost got tossed. I never get tossed, but I almost got tossed for doing that, and it's embarrassing because if you don't know it, you think it's okay to do, but it really is not. People pay for those tables to be there, and you need to respect that. And oh, that's one that you can't see the table there, but yeah, that's
These were
one
just
where we
some,
were talking.
I only had some candid shots of you in a video, so I thought I'd throw that. But you know, just look how you're dressing. It was festive. You had, I don't know where you got, were those pasties?
No, those are leaves.
Oh,
Those are
leaves. Sorry. Okay. Just
pasties.
checking. Just
I did
checking.
a Thanksgiving theme for the table. I think it's important to have things like a barcode for following us on social media. Now, you know, I had that up all night because I was there something like 7 hours,
Mm,
and only one person clicked it. But
wow.
but still, one is better than none,
Yeah.
right? This particular expo, they also did a combination job fair. So we got 800 attendees at this expo, and a lot of them obviously that came up and talked to me about, because we had a job open, we have 2 job openings. Talk about that. They weren't our ideal candidate, but that's okay. They still learned about our company. They would say, "Oh, I know somebody that might be a good fit for that," or you know, something along that line. So it was really good. And if you have a nice giveaway, that's also helpful. Some people will set. There's always candy on these tables. The tables with food do really really well. We have a couple of giveaways, including what do we give with those the bags with the handles on
Oh,
them.
right. Canvas
People,
bags.
oh my God, they went crazy for those. And because you get so much, I want to say junk, but so much marketing material and stuff at these events, you need something to put it in. So they really, really like that. And then we also have those magnets. But anyway, the point is that there's a right way and a wrong way. There's a right way, a wrong way. Let me say it different. There's a wrong way, a better way, and then the really good way to do expos to maximize your results. And then there's post expo benefits, things you can
Hey,
do to
hey, can I
get.
toss something in there?
Sure. Yeah.
and I know this is going to be so unlike me, is, I think if you actually show up, and even if your table is terrible,
Right.
but it has some branding on it,
Right.
you're so far ahead just by showing up. So it's really not a bad way. It is, let's call it the C level, right? It's like, at least you showed up. Like
That's why I said worse, better.
I chose not to go, but just the fact that you showed up, right?
Right. Right.
Okay.
And the and really what I wanted to focus on is how important in-person networking and marketing is, because I've spoke to over 300 real estate agents in the last month. Some of them individually, a lot of them in groups. And I did an expo specifically for real estate. So that helped. And then right behind that, I add all the business cards I got to my newsletter. And then that's Joe's. And then right behind that, I sent out a newsletter specifically for real estate, and that's already yielded results. So it's been really good. The expos are great. Speaking in front of groups is important. You actually inspired me to get going again on this stuff, because I hadn't really been out there doing anything since COVID. You get in a rut, you're working in your office. We try to rely on referrals, word of mouth. And while those are important, you cannot rest on that. They will fizzle out eventually. So you have to do in-person networking and marketing. And I got back into it because you absolutely insisted I go to BNI, which I dragged my feet on for years before I finally went. And I'm so glad that I'm a part of it. I must be, to get up every morning at 4:30 to be there at 7. So
not every morning, only once a week.
Once a week. Yeah. It's once a week at 4:30 in the morning. So, it's worth it. Not just the marketing, not just the networking, not just the referrals that you get from that environment, but the camaraderie, being with like-minded individuals who are trying to build their business. There's so much benefit to that. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, just the enthusiasm that you get is
just the energy from other people in there, and realizing you're not all by yourself in this journey that you're on.
Right. And you hear what other people need and what they want. I got an opportunity now through those connections and our branded cars that somebody saw, right? Because if you have a car and you're not taking advantage of that free advertising, you're making a huge mistake, right? I don't care if it's even a magnet, as long as it's a nice looking magnet, but something with your name on your car. I mean, there's an estimate of something like 20 million people a day. If you're at, is that right? 20 million, not 20 million, 20,000 people a day will see your vehicle if you're out driving around in something that's branded. So having something on your car is important. And we just recently had somebody see our car, called us about services, and then turns out he's related to somebody in our BNI group. They're partners in the business. And so now I have an opportunity to go provide services through their business, which is phenomenal and something I've had on my mind for years. So sometimes it takes a while to manifest what you're looking to do, but I don't know how to say this, having that one-to-one energy and the relationship building helps you manifest the goals that you have for your business. Is that a right way to say that? I think, yeah.
Okay.
So I was really happy with that. And then yesterday, was that only yesterday? Is today Wednesday?
Today is Wednesday all day.
Oh, there's somebody with their name on their card.
This is just one of my clients, and he just got a new truck, and he had the branding on there. It looked great, and it wasn't anything fancy, but it's like there's no doubt. Like, what does he do? Oh, he does heating and air conditioning, and there's his number prominently. I was trying to see if I had one of your pictures in there, and I didn't want to take forever because I know we're not going to talk about this piece for a long time. But I'll see if I can find. I'll bring it up before we go. But that's just an example
of one of our cars.
Yeah.
One of our our new ones. Yeah. yesterday, Muhammad talked about having a theme, right? That really struck a chord with me. Did it for you? I don't know.
Yeah, I did.
He was talking about instead of setting a New Year's resolution, since this is coming out in December, to set a theme for the coming year. What do you want to accomplish for the year?
Mm.
Not generic, not like I want to lose 10 pounds, but like specific, specifically, what do you want to accomplish? For me, I want to double our client base. That's one of the things I want to do. So once you set a goal like that, you say, how do I accomplish that? Well, in-person marketing and networking helps with that, right? And you can't do it just once. You have to go back again and again and again, particularly if you're dealing with real estate, because they may be supportive while you're in front of them, but they may forget about you when you're not. So until you build that relationship with people, you won't be the first thing that comes to their mind necessarily. And so you have to really build that relationship. And so I liked his theme. Oh, there it is. That's my car. It's not a very good, you can't see it very well, but that's a good one. You can see the name of our company really clearly on the door, and then a list of the services we provide on the back door, which is nice. And that's what he saw. Yeah, they look really pretty. That's what he saw when he called me, that he saw our car. So you never know where you're going to get an opportunity from.
You know what I like about this and the cars you chose? To me, when I see the car, it looks like sleek, fast, and also professional. And that's kind of what the car to me says. And then the branding on there, like, oh, of course, this is who I'd want to handle my stuff, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, most people use the Kia Soul for their work vehicles. I did not want to, and the price point on this car and the Kia were the same. They're both like 25,000. They're not expensive cars at all, but it looks more like my personal vehicle. It looks more like that. So we could I'm all about carrying your brand consistently across all your different marketing collateral. And this is a piece of marketing collateral, these vehicles. So I wanted it to look similar to the car that I drive, which only has the name of my company on it. It doesn't have a phone number. It doesn't have, because I own the company, I don't want to be too busy. In the beginning, when I first started, I had cars that were wrapped all the way around with pictures and like, it looked like a NASCAR. It was like all covered with that stuff. And when I changed over to just my name, a lot of the HOA managers told me that they liked that better because it was less loud in their community.
Gotcha.
But this isn't loud. This doesn't have this doesn't have images and stuff. So it looks really sleek, like you said. So that's a good thing.
Well, and it also, as somebody, especially in your situation, you're going into communities, usually they're gated communities.
Right.
And all of a sudden, if I'm across the street, and I'm going to date myself, but I'm a Gladys Kravitz from across the street, and I see a vehicle in the driveway, and I know Bob and Ellen are away, I have a comfort zone. Oh, that's Executive Aaron's, versus who's that in their neighbor? Who's that? I better call the police, or I better call security. So I think that's kind of good. And again, it's subtle, but it's very clearly marked.
Yeah, it's important, these if you work in communities, if you are somebody, a business listening to this podcast, and you actually work in country club communities, it's a requirement to have the name of your company on your vehicle for specifically that reason, so that neighbors know that you are a vendor in there doing a job, that you're supposed to be there. So they require it anyway. And we did magnets for years and years and years. We just got these last year. You have to build your business to a point where you can afford, I don't want to say afford, but sustain the overhead of having vehicles. I mean, that's just common. You just have to.
Gotta make it work.
Right. Well, and with somebody like you don't have your name on your car, but what you do doesn't require it. Right? Because you work in people's locations. We work all over town. You go to a specific business to help them. So you don't necessarily have to have, you're business to business. I'm business to consumer. So it's different, right?
Yeah. Perfect. It
Do
probably would
you?
still it probably still pay to have something on my vehicle for those businesses out there. It's probably not a bad idea. Maybe I should start with a magnet and
Yeah, for sure.
not wrap my car.
No, I don't think your wife would approve, but
No,
okay.
no.
I
So
wanted to put this on my car, and my husband said, absolutely not. So,
not going to happen.
no, no,
Yeah.
he didn't. Because when we travel other places, when you go to, if I go to Riverside or I go to out to see my daughter where she lives, which is 2 hours away, people look at you like, oh, what is that service? And you're not trying to get work out
Mm,
there, right? So
yeah.
it's interesting. But you could, may I make a recommendation for what to put on your magnet?
Sure.
AI genius. I think you
I like to
should.
go by I like to go by the AI architect.
That's a good one
That's
too. Did we get
that's
you a
my that's
T-shirt that said that? AI architect. What did we get you?
I may have. Yeah,
I think
maybe. Yeah, I'll have
some
to
kind of
figure that out.
architect.
Yeah. Maybe I think
Because
it said the content architect.
oh, maybe. Well, you do
Yeah.
both of those really well.
Yeah. Thank you.
But I would put something that had AI in it for you because everybody's curious about that. Everybody's trying to dip their toe into that field.
So
And that's
true.
why I think the more you can market out, not to do a business consulting for you, but the more that you can market, be in events where you can showcase AI, the better you're going to do. Because, you know, even your voice agents are phenomenal. And the content accelerator, to me, I don't know why everybody in the country doesn't have that. In fact, I pitched that to somebody yesterday in one of my, I did in one of
Thank
my
you.
challenges because she's inconsistent in her social media and she wants it, but she doesn't want to do it.
Sure.
She doesn't want to post it. She doesn't want to do anything. She just wants somebody to do it. So I was telling her about Content Accelerator and how great that is because it's all automated. And so that, and it's AI optimized, which is the most important part to me, right? Because if you don't have AI, we're digressing from the marketing, but if you do, well, actually it's still part of marketing, right? If you're doing social media to market your business and build your brand and you don't have it AI optimized, what happens, Jeff?
You quickly become no conversation. In other words,
Invisible.
when we look it up, we don't find you on the internet.
Right.
And it doesn't take long for that to happen. Quite frankly, it's happening at the speed of light, quite frankly.
I know it. And, they've been talking on the news about, is there going to be an AI crash? Because it's, the boom and all the stocks and stuff for AI are really up there. I think they're underestimating AI. We haven't just touched the tip of the iceberg on AI. How could there be a crash already? We haven't even got there yet.
We're at the bottom of we're at the bottom of the hockey stick. If you think about a hockey stick, and then we're like right down here.
Yeah,
it hasn't even begun to accelerate.
No, and so I think anybody who says, "Hey, we're on a bubble," I don't agree.
Yeah,
we haven't reached a bubble yet.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But
I'm sorry.
So the whole idea of marketing your business and using it, I have to ask you a question before you move away from your live event, your expo. I know you went with some target goals in mind, but there are also some other things that happened that were kind of a nice, oh my gosh, I'm glad I was there because if I wasn't there, this would have never happened moment. Can you share that?
Which ones are you talking about? There were several.
Well, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay. So the first thing,
you had some target goals. What were they?
Well, one of them was, since it was a job fair, and I only did, when she told me about that, I didn't think about telling them we had job openings because it didn't occur to me that we could get there. And then I thought, well, you get some preferred exposure if you're one of the companies that does, and we actually do. So I'm going to put that out there. And the very first person that walked up and talked to me was somebody who said that they had sent me a resume previously and I didn't respond to it, which, these days when you put an ad on Indeed or one of those job seekers, you get inundated with hundreds of resumes. It's impossible to sift through them all. And so she understood that. But in talking to her, I knew immediately she was a perfect fit for one of our positions immediately.
Cool.
And I even wrote, she had a resume with her and I even wrote on it, yes, yes, yes. And so that was one thing that was unexpected, especially because I hadn't even considered promoting that at first. And then the other thing is I'm working to get this fairly large contract, and that large enough that it could change the face of my company. And somebody came up to talk to me, and without, unbeknownst to me, I was just answering questions and doing like I always do at expos. It turned out that he was the decision maker for this opportunity. So I was in shock and felt, and you know what it did really, Jeff,
What's that?
is,
What's that?
and I know you'll appreciate this, because I've been struggling because we did rely on referrals for a long time. That's why I know not to do that. And the pipeline ends up drying up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I got back into all this and why I'm doing it. And I've been kind of down, you know, because I'm human. I have my moments. So I was down, and you know that because I told you, and you sent me some picker up or pepper emails, which I appreciate. But meeting that person made me realize, both of those people, that the universe is on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to help me manifest all of my goals for this next year. I have no doubt now. And I'm not depressed, and I'm not worried about it, because there's been too many signs from the universe telling me I'm on the right track. I'm getting the right message out there. I'm talking to the right people. And so when it works right, when you do it right, you if you're paying attention, you see that, right? Because these messages can be quite in your face at sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
you know
True.
So, and I'm a big believer in manifesting and the power of positive thought, and how what you put out, if you're specific in your intention, you can make it happen. Now, that's not to say that it's 100% magic, right? Because all of these things require you take steps toward what you're doing. If I just said to the universe, hey, I want to double my client base and I want to work here, and I didn't take any steps to make that happen, it may or may not come to me. It is unlikely. It may come to me, but in a way longer time frame, right? I give you an example. When I years ago, a lot of years ago, I was the president of a 400 member professional organization out in San Fernando Valley. And I wanted to teach. I wanted to get certified at the fellow level in their certification program. And to do that, you had to teach, and you had to get published. I mean, like really published in a magazine, and you had to speak at an event. And then you had to pass all the tests. So you had to do those three things. I'm not going to achieve fellow level by just putting it out in the universe. So
Right.
I wrote articles and got published. And then I went and spoke at I was a breakout speaker at a big event in Anaheim. And then to teach, because I only have a high school education. So, I'm street smart and I'm business smart, but I don't have college. I took a class, and I ended up speaking for 5 semesters at Cal State Northridge.
Wow.
Doing a professional continuing education for professionals, after work, which is not easy because people are tired and the topic I was teaching is boring. So supply chain management. So those 3 things, coupled with the passing the test, which is the easy part for me, got me to the fellow level. So I set it out into the universe. It took me 2 years to accomplish that, because I'm a good writer, but it doesn't mean you get published right away.
Right.
And teaching isn't easy if you don't have a master's degree, right? So it's interesting how, if you create an action plan towards what you want and you take the right steps, just like this marketing and this networking in person, if you pick the right groups to do it with, like I did the CEDAR, which is the real estate group out here, and there were 200 real estate agents there for breakout training classes, and in between they were coming out and talking to us. I got to talk to all of those 200 people, right? So those of them, those who didn't know me knew me. So, you know, what I'm saying is that you're taking the steps in the right direction, talking to the right people, doing the right. My newsletter had a realtor follow up on it. My posts on Facebook or social media have had, some of them have had real estate tends to that. And I also did a real estate for another group that was very small, 40 people, but I got 2 speaking opportunities out of that. So you never know where you're going to get an opportunity, but if you don't put yourself out there, it's going to be nowhere.
I want to really point something out here. First of all, it's kind of like we know him. He was my pastor for 15 years. He would say, treat and move your feet. If you just sit there and meditate, the world is going to continue to change without you, but not in the way you're hoping for. So the cool part about it is like, hey, it's like if I said, I want to get more muscular, and I read magazines and I think about, and I wake up 6 months from now and say, this just doesn't work. I didn't do the work. You did the work. We talked about this before.
I can't hear you. Jeffrey.
The BNI group. And from then, so then get in the BNI group. And that kind of started this cascade of activities. And next thing you know, you're doing the 5-day challenges, which you do consistently now. And then it was the, speaking. And then it turned into this expo. And all of a sudden, it's like activity creates opportunities.
That's right.
Activities create opportunities. And that's what you did. And so it's easy to sit back, as you say, we kind of pull back when things are going pretty well. We find our comfort level. And it's almost like we just catch our breath. There's nothing wrong with that. I say pulling into a safe cove if you're a ship and you get out of the storm. Yeah. Sometimes that's okay. But sometimes we forget to pull up anchor and get back into the sail. And that's what you're doing now. And it's exciting to watch. I love hearing your stories about this, what happened, this, what happened. And it can happen for you too, guys and gals listening and watching. But it's not going to happen sitting behind your computer or just doing text messages. You've got to get out. There's nothing more powerful than that real face-to-face conversations you have. And that's what you did. So I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I'm talking about myself here, but this is applicable to everybody who's listening. So, take my experience and use it for yourself and do it yourself. One of the things I've always wanted to do is be a public speaker, as far as either teach classes or talk on campuses and help young people that want to go into business, because it's shocking to me how many people, there's a lot of people that want to start their own business now. I think that say it for me, entrepreneur is alive and well. People really want to be their own boss, and that's fantastic. And I think that's the way of the future for a lot of people, but they don't have the business acumen to do that. I was having a conversation last night with a real estate agent at the affiliate appreciation night for CEDAR last night, Mixer. And he was telling me that he's shocked how little business acumen is out here where we are, right? Because there's a lot of small business owners out here and people that started things doing that they were good at, and, garage door repair people and electricians and plumbers and all kinds of zillions of different skill sets, but they don't know. I'm still getting pictures, cell phone photographs of receipt books for an invoice. I mean, this is almost 2026. There's so many apps and accounting programs that will send invoices. You want to look like a professional company, and you don't have to invest a lot to do it. You can make a Google Doc if you have to, to send an invoice so that you can look like a real business. Because when you send a picture of a receipt book, you look like you're not serious. To me,
it's like that. Is that the best you can do?
Yeah. I mean, you may be a great garage door guy, but if you don't send me an invoice, I can't pay you.
Yeah.
We have a gardener right now that takes care of some of our homes. They do several properties and they never send invoices. And this is a monthly service. I need to bill monthly to my clients. And so, we still bill monthly, even though we don't have the invoice, but once we get it, it's going to be confusing to make sure that we're in the right place for those invoices. And then how does that company run if they're not getting paid? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of need for business. And what I got sidetracked, but what I was trying to say is at that same expo, one of the guys at the college, the local community college, was there. And I talked to him about doing a class for business owners, which they have a whole program for that I did not know about. And he said, well, do you have a master's degree? And I said, no, but I taught at Cal State Northridge. And he said, well, there may be a place for you, And then you came up and said, are you trying to divert from what you're doing? Which is probably true. Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
And so,
I
didn't pursue it yet, but I mean, just that's what I'm trying to say, just real quick, Jeff, is that the opportunities come to you when you put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Basically.
And then you just have to put the right filters in place to say, is this a good thing? Does it make my boat go faster, or is it taking me down one of these side streams that lead to nowhere?
Yeah.
And I've worked all this time to go down that road. And, I talk to people all the time that are doing that. And I'm guilty of it because it's exciting, less guilty of it nowadays. But it is one of those things where, it's easy to say yes when it tends to stroke our ego. But
it's like there's a shiny object over here. You'll be proud to know, talking to that realtor last night, he has 3 clients he's doing for them what we do, right? So of course I'm trying to get his clients. I'm like, well, why don't you transition those to me so you can, finally I said, look, you need to pick a lane. He's got like 3 different things he's trying to do and they're all good. I said, pick a lane. You don't need those 3 clients. I'll take those. You pick a lane and focus on what you're trying to do, which is building and remodeling is what he really wants to do. And so I know you would appreciate the pick a lane, because I have said that to you many, many times, because both of us can get easily distracted into something that's not furthering our business goals. Right.
Well, and it's easy to do when somebody comes along with a problem and you can help solve it, even though it is outside your lane, you have the knowledge to do that. But the best thing we could do for them, the highest level of service, is saying, I know this can be fixed, but you need somebody who actually specializes in that. I'm not your gal. I'm not your guy. Really.
Right.
I do absentee home, or I have software, or I'm, doing what I'm doing. But it can be solved. I know it can be, because I've done that for other people, but that's not what I do. That would be the best thing. That would be the best answer for us, and would really be serving those people even better. Like your guy you're talking about.
Right. And it would, because you, if you get diluted in what you're doing, it not only affects your attention span, it affects your productivity, it affects your profitability, and it affects your ability to further the business that you really want to further. I mean, there's been many times especially in the early years when I didn't have a lot of clients and stuff, I would think, oh, maybe I should go get a job at the grocery store at night to supplement, what's coming in. And then I would think, well, if I have that much time to go do that, why don't I put those hours towards this and find a way to make this better? And that's really the lesson that you have to learn. Marketing and networking is all about consistency and stay in the course. If I could use your boat metaphor, stay in the course, and because otherwise, if you start doing this all over the place, nothing happens. It's start, stop, and so that's not good. So it's just a continual, consistent, keep doing it. I already have some stuff scheduled for January, actually, for speaking. So I'm excited about that.
One thing I want to point out here, and this is a statistical fact, that when we get into an airplane, let's say we're going from New York to Los Angeles, 90% of the time that plane is off course. But what is it doing? It's course correcting. It recognizes off course and correct. Off course, correct. Same thing if you looked at a ship on the ocean, because of the currents and the waves and the wind, it is constantly doing what? Course correcting, but it's never losing target of what? Its end goal. Its location is going. So don't beat yourself up if all of a sudden you're going, oh, I'm off course. Boy, bad me. No, just course correct and move on. And realize, this is what I like to do, is say, what gold did I just mine from that being off course that can help me go down the road further, faster? And so I don't beat myself up. I'm looking and saying, okay, I learned how to do that. Like I was on a webinar before we got on here for an hour, learning about something that could be a huge difference for a lot of my customers, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. So I'm not going back and saying, hey, okay, Leslie, we need to do this. No, not yet. Not yet. I want to prove it out a little bit before I invest any more real time or money in that. It's a little off course, real course, quick, course correct, and get right back on it. So don't beat yourself up on that.
Okay, I won't. Or do you mean them? I don't know who you mean. Me, them?
Anybody. It's a he, she, they, it doesn't matter. If we've got bots listening, them, it, yeah.
Well, and there's a hidden advantage to marketing that people, well, it's hidden, so they often overlook it, right? And that is that the more you do it, the more confident you become with doing it. Yeah. And so, and you also learn to answer the objection. So when people say no to you and you walk away and you think, oh, I should have said this, next time somebody gives you the same objection, you'll give them that answer that you should have thought of after the fact. So once you get confident in your marketing and get comfortable because you'll be saying the same things over and over again, obviously, but to different people, what happens is that you start to come at this from a position of stability and confidence versus a sense of urgency. And I have to get this client and I have to get this work and I have, I got to get some more business in so my cash flow goes up. Or do you just speak from confidence and you're comfortable and people can feel that energy is what you're trying to put out. We do a good job. You can tell because the way I'm talking to you, but that only comes with experience. And a lot of people don't realize that that's a hidden benefit of being out there all the time. You are the most glib person I have ever met. We talk about that a lot. I have never, you guys who are listening, I have never seen anyone who can talk off the cuff like Jeff can. Is amazing.
Thank you.
And he comes up with like strong call to actions that I wish I could memorize so that when I'm talking to somebody, I can say, oh, but what about this? And what if I gave you that? He's so good at that. I wish he would just do my sales for me and then I wouldn't have to do it.
Well, I'll give you a little yesterday for us, yesterday was our BNI meeting. Right. And I planned on talking about how valuable time was. And that was our only asset, right? It was the most valuable asset.
That's what I talked about.
But the person just before me talked about how he wants to get into another market, but he doesn't speak the language and he needs to hire someone that can handle calls in a different language. And I immediately shifted to, well, we do AI voice agents and they can talk in any language you want. I had 60 seconds. Actually, I had about 20 seconds to throw that together, Leslie.
That was great too. And then I gave you a kick in the pants when I said I didn't want one. Yeah. I would love to have one, but in my business, I kind of need a body that's there. But I would love that for answering the phone and stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's what you have to be able to do is pivot, And that's another thing I teach people about when you're marketing and networking. You have to listen. Ow.
That's okay. I was just checking to see if you were listening.
I am listening. You have to listen to what people want. The first thing I always say to people, especially whether I'm at a big event or it's a one-on-one, is how can I best help you? Or how do you envision using our services? Or what made you stop to talk to me? Right? Because if you go in with a canned pitch and that's not what the other person wanted, they may say, okay, thank you, and walk away. And you won't even know that you hit the wrong spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you say, what's your biggest pain point? How can I help you the best? What challenges do you face in your business, for example? One for you. Then you can quickly pivot and tailor your response to answer that need, which is exactly what you did yesterday, which turned out that was good because my intent was to talk about the most valuable resource, which is time. So it worked out.
Yeah, when that happened, I'm like, okay, well, this is good. This is good.
Well, yeah. And I never thought about that. When he said he needed a Spanish speaking person to interpret his Spanish clients or answer the phone for them, it never occurred to me, which I don't know why it didn't, that you could change your voice agent to have it to speak in a different language.
And it's on demand, Leslie.
I know it's
So it's not like, oh, I can only have one that's Spanish speaking or only Hungarian. No, it depends on who answers or who is calling in. It will immediately be able to work on that at that language.
Do you have to do press nueve for Espanol?
Nope.
No, it
Just recognize it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, the things that you can do blow my mind. And really and truly, I know I say that all the time because AI, and I use it a lot, and I'm more advanced than most people. Most people will right now are using it to like write an email, and I use it to write an email too. But I'm using it for bigger things than that. You use it even beyond that to write code and to write apps and to write programs, which is that help people. Their voice agent allows, if you're marketing and you get a bunch of calls, right? This thing can answer multiple calls at a time. It can answer 24/7.
Yep.
So you're never not available, which in this day and age, being available is a key component of success for converting opportunities into business.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, yeah, hey, not to get us sidetracked, but I was going to ask you, is there a misunderstanding, do you think, when people say networking, you think that has to be to a group of people? And it really doesn't. I mean, one thing that we do a lot of is one-on-ones. Is that still considered networking?
Yeah, of course it does. It is. Yeah. Doing expos or showcases is important because it gets you in front of a lot of people at once. So it increases the effectiveness of your marketing efforts. But truly, in those places, you only have 10 to 30 seconds to talk to somebody because there's so many people and you have to keep moving. So they get a taste of what you do, and you're handing out business cards and you're handing out brochures and stuff. But ultimately, the ones that are really interested, or the ones I make notes of the cards they give me, is that the one-on-one is where you find out their real needs and how you can best help them, right? So a one-on-one is I think in the long term, it's more effective for converting opportunity into business. But for branding and for opportunity gathering, a bigger event is better, if that makes sense. Now, I usually set a goal for all these things. If I go to a mixer, if I go to anything I go to where I'm talking to people, groups or whatever, I set a goal of 2 to 3 opportunities, and then I just have fun. Now, when I'm at an expo like we did the other night, I'm working the whole time. That's not a place for recreation, right? So the entire 6 or 7 hours I'm working. But when you go to a small group, a mixer, for example, where you're not a showcase, you don't have a table and stuff, then you can, if you can identify how many opportunities you need to make it worth it, and then just have fun at the event, it's a lot less stressful and you're more relaxed. And being relaxed and enthusiastic are the keys to effective marketing and networking.
Do you ever,
go ahead.
I was going to say, do you ever go to these events where there's going to be a lot of people with the goal of saying, hey, I'm kind of fishing with a net, but at the end of the day, I want to do some one-on-ones. And then the goal is, okay, I might have been speaking to 50 people, but the goal is I want to have at least 3 meaningful appointments with one-on-ones that we're going to go to lunch, we're going to have coffee, whatever, that gets into that more of, hey, let's see if we can work together and my service can solve your problem or vice versa. Do you ever do that?
Always.
Okay.
And and I used to write on the business card, to remember, because I put them in for the drawing. So I used to write on the card so I would remember what we agreed to when we met. But now I carry a notebook and I might not put that card in there. I might throw that card in my notebook so that I can make sure I get back to those people first, because part of the whole effectiveness of marketing in this manner is to follow up after the fact. If you don't ever add them to your newsletter, if you don't ever call them back, you're going to get nothing out of it. The conversation at the time is valuable. And, the way you pivoted in BNI this week is exactly what you have to do at these networking events. You may, at the one for the Rancho Mirage Chamber, the 800 people, I got an opportunity to hire somebody. I met with her yesterday, actually, and she's going to go do a ride along with us. She's
Excellent.
a perfect candidate for us. Second is I found other vendors that I can use for my business.
Ah, great.
Or me personally. So when you're talking to people, don't think just about what you're not just looking for clients per se. You could be looking for vendors as well. And it was funny because I had put out into the universe that I need to redo my trust, for example. And I had said the other day, I wish I had somebody to do my travel planning because, oh my God, it's so labor intensive. And you know what? The first two people I met for vendors was a person that does trust and somebody that does travel. So it was like, okay, I hear you. I'm all right. Thank you.
But had you not gone to this event,
I would never have met them.
Met them.
No.
Yeah.
And I walked the property too. I went to see who else was there a couple of times, talked to a few people. I didn't drop cards in raffles simply because I feel like the people who pay to come should be winning those things. As a vendor, I don't need to win them, and generally I re-gift them to another event anyway, if I do, or I give them back. I don't need to win a raffle prize unless they were given like a trip away. And then maybe I would get into it like 25 times, but otherwise, I don't need that stuff. So I don't want to take away from the people that are there to learn about these vendors and what we do,
Yeah.
And then I also got an opportunity. I got some speaking engagements out of it as well. So if you think about it, I got, a new hire opportunity. I got a couple speaking engagement opportunities. I met the head bigwig of the big contract I'm trying to land. And I met some vendors that can help me out personally and professionally. So it was a win all the way around.
So the ROI was literally off the charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
But again, there is tips and tricks to this. I mean, there's things like how you get people to come to, a lot of times, I don't know how many expos you've been to, but a lot of times people will walk down the center of the aisle so they don't have to get too close to you because they don't want to engage. Well, I've got a no fail on that. I always say, have we met before? You look familiar to me. Tell me how I know you. And as I'm saying that, I'm walking them over to my table, right? I almost bought those, those lights that they use at the airport to walk the plane into the gate. I almost bought some of those to go, come this way, come this way.
God.
And I may do that because I think it'd be funny,
It would be funny.
That.
I walk down the middle as a respect, not for fear, but out of respect of like, I don't want to take your time up because I really don't need a dog pooping, scooping business for my house because I have a cat, right? So I don't want to go over and talk to you or even give you this inclination like, oh, I could be a potential customer. For me, that's out of respect. Other people could be out of fear of I don't want to be spoken to because I'm just looking, right? So it could go both ways. So if you show up with those the lights, I would laugh, but maybe I still didn't need that particular service. But I may now go to the other. I might go to the far side of that middle aisle.
Let me reframe that for you though, Jeff. What if you went and talked to the guy with the pooper scooper because you have friends that have animals?
I'm getting a
and
dog.
Maybe you could refer. No, I know that, but maybe you could refer like your friends that we met.
Larry and Marie.
Yes, they have a dog. I know they do. So
Larry likes scooping.
Of course he does. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Sure.
There might be a service there that you don't personally need, but that you could refer because this whole business, being a business owner is being a connector, building those relationships, because then he might refer to you at some point.
Yeah.
And you don't know, maybe you don't need dog scooping, but maybe he needs a voice agent.
Correct.
It's just, you can't your voice agent, but you know what I'm saying?
I want to toss one other thing because I first of all, we talked about several things. One is the the networking, the one-on-one with BNI groups, and then the teaching that you did at Cal State Northridge,
Right.
and then the expos, and then the speaking engagements, and how all those things, and then the expos of how you got several of those boxes checked. But I'm curious now, one other area, and we really haven't spoken about that for networking. Like, I'm on a board of a charity, a local charity, and I noticed last night was our board meeting, and I noticed that is a good place to also network. It's almost like a
Mhm.
mini BNI.
Right.
So should we think about, like, hey, good. Absolutely. The first thing is, can we support that charity? Not like I want to join just so I can network with the people in there.
Right.
But could that be a networking opportunity in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. I did that when I first started my business. I joined a charity group. It was Women Helping Women, and I chose. First of all, that's near and dear to my heart, but which is what the first and foremost rule for joining any charity should be. But the group I picked, because there were several out here, was all populated with HOA managers.
Mm.
Right. So I wanted to be in that group so that I could not only help the charity, but network with those HOA managers. And that paid off so big, I can't even quantify it, because
And
once you
you
get,
and you stopped. Why?
because that charity group disbanded.
Oh, okay.
This
Okay.
is right before COVID, or
Uh,
maybe a few years before that. It's really hard for charities these days because um, all the donations are a lot of them are online. And so, having groups in person is a little bit harder. Now, we live in an area that is full of charity. This is
yeah.
one of the largest charity areas in the United States. And so we have lots and lots of opportunities. But in that case, they had disbanded, so I didn't stay in it. But I did join their professional organization concurrently with that, and stayed in that for a long time. And I'm looking at going back there. I haven't been back in a long time. And because I haven't, so many of the managers I worked with have since retired.
Mm.
Right. So there's a whole new crop of managers that I need to go meet. And when I walked into that group the first time, I went, oh my God, there are 200 people in this room. I don't know. And I immediately joined the group.
And you smile from ear to ear.
Yes. Well, because, and joining a group is not just joining a group, right? You have to participate in the professional organization. I sat on committees, I sponsored things, I helped wherever I could. In the charity, we did a fashion show, we did all kinds of things to raise money for that organization. We did really well. I ended up being president of that organization for at least a year, maybe two, I don't remember. And I sat on a board for that. Our primary benefactor, I sat on that board for a while too. So, giving back is a great networking opportunity, but the giving back part is first, just like
Mm.
you do with Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's the one you're in, right? Big Brothers
Well,
Big.
yeah, I wasn't going to mention it, but yeah, Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Hey, it's a notable group, so yeah,
It
you
is,
should.
and I'm very proud to be part of it. And yeah, it's a
I
great.
just did their little walkathon where I had a table. And
Yeah.
if you've noticed, and this is in my webinar I do on expos and marketing, if you notice that the way I decorate my table is different for all of these events, because depending on how many people are going to be there, whether it's inside or outside, whether or not you're really hitting your target market or not, all these things factor in. And you have to take that into consideration. And being able to pivot, I'm glad you brought that up, because I had almost forgot to mention it, is also key. Because like I said, as you talk to people, you get better and better at it, and you'll learn how to interpret a need and then change your conversation for that, which is just a skill that people have to learn by doing it. There's no other way to learn that, really.
Yeah. And I think, I'll toss this out and I'll let you wrap it up. But one of the things I have learned over the years is, when I get an objection, is and I find that there's a solution, maybe not right then, but then in my next talk, or the next time I have a conversation, I realize that could be a reoccurring theme. And so what I'll do is I'll create a story in how our service or product actually address that particular problem. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking, okay, what are the 3 or 4 objections I typically get, and I'm using that in my presentation and showing how we overcame that, so it no longer is an objection, but it's in a story form, so
Mhm.
they don't realize that basically I'm disarming them from that point of view,
Yeah.
and it works beautifully. Well, and if I can do it, great. If I can't, I really will tell them I can't do it, right?
Right. Well, and that reminds me when I worked in aerospace as a consultant, and I would go into these companies, new companies, cold and female in a male dominated industry. Okay. Which was only a problem at one company, but that's a different story. But every place I would go, people would say, "You don't understand my business." And every one of them had the same problems. So what I did is I created a presentation called Common Complaints. And the first thing I would do is do this little presentation for them and show them that, yes, I did understand their business. And once you get people's heads nodding when you're talking to them, you've won, right?
Yeah.
You have now built some kind of small relationship with them, and they start to trust you right away if their head is nodding, because you're hitting a chord in them that says, oh, she relates to me. Oh, he understands my problems. This is how I fix it. And that served me well for many years. I was thinking about doing the same kind of a presentation for the lifestyle management industry, but the 5-day challenges have accomplished that anyway.
Yeah.
When I sit down, it's shocking to me, and I know we're kind of out of time, and maybe we'll talk about this next time. We should talk about the 5-day challenge. Maybe we'll talk about that next, because there's a lot of eye-opening things in that as well. So maybe we can talk about that from a business leadership perspective.
Before I let you go, I just want to ask a question. You talked about having, and I know you have it because I'm the one who videotaped it for you, about your expo, how to prepare for an expo. Do you still offer that on your website
Um, I
as
don't
a
think
as a video or I
my
think it
new
used to be
one's not
called a
on there.
DVD, but we don't do those anymore.
No, and I'm redoing all my webinars,
Okay.
so that we can, because I didn't even put them on my website anymore because they're so old. They're still on YouTube. If you search
Okay.
my name on YouTube, they're still there, but they're so old. The data is still good. It's just they're old and the format is hinky, and I'm like 700 pounds heavier, and I just don't like them. So, not really 700. And so I'm redoing them all in our new format with our new branding and stuff. So I do have the expo one done. I haven't figured out a good way to record them yet, unless you just want me to give them and you do it. But if I record them on Zoom, which I can do, then the person I'm doing them for is also on there, and I don't know that they want to be. So I'm not quite certain the best way to go about that, but we can talk about that offline. But yeah, I do have a brand new, clean expo. It has pictures of all my different tables and stuff over the years, and telling people the best way to go about doing this. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Leslie, as always, this has been a lot of fun and good information. And for those of you out there that are listening and or watching, we really appreciate that. Maybe some of these things are going to be perfect for you, but this is one of those things where Leslie has done all of these different layers, and there are pieces to each layer that can help your business grow. Whether it's, hey, I only feel comfortable. Maybe at this point I can't afford to join like a BNI group, or I can't afford to go to an expo and invest in what she's talking about. But I can start doing one-on-ones with local business owners who will be my ideal customer or my ideal partner, in other words, a referral partner, and take them to lunch and get to know them and let them get to know you better.
Right.
Maybe that's where you start. But every one of these, Leslie, you were able to extract some gold, whether it's an employee, it's a new contact, whatever it is.
Right.
This is still this face-to-face, I'll call it face-to-face or human-to-human marketing, is still a viable option and critical to your business.
Right. And I'd like to close with just to reassure people that when I got back into face-to-face again at your urging, and I joined BNI and I started doing this, I really thought face-to-face marketing was dead after COVID, right? Because so many things were everything was shut down. There was so much Zoom groups, conversations, and even some of the mixers and things were on Zoom instead of being in person. But I now see that that's not true, and that everybody has different things they're doing and different events that they're organizing and that the opportunity is there. Tonight, I'm going to an open house for a brand new branch of one of the real estate groups out here. And I know the lady that runs it. She's the top producer for that group. And she's trying to help me with my business as well. So, you know, and it was an invite only even, and I got invited to go. So, you know, you have to build these relationships. It's all about relationships. And trust me, if you're not comfortable, I didn't used to be either. Okay. But I started out doing one-on-ones too. And I found that I would drive away from them going, oh man, I wish I would have said this. And then from that, you know, it just grows and grows and grows. And now we're doing a podcast, for crying out loud. So you just never know where things are going to go.
All right. With that, I want to say thank you for joining us again today. Leslie, thanks for all the great information. I really appreciate that. Make sure to check out Leslie on Leslie Spohr on her YouTube for the expo info. It may be an older version, but it's still packed with value. Until next time, my name is Jeff Harrison, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.